Hello, you. How are you doing today? Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast. I'm so glad you're back. And this is your first time listening. Welcome. Today's guest is actually one of my favorite humans. She's known me since I was like 19 years old. We were joking on the podcast that like our friendship is like legally allowed to drink. And so if you watched on the YouTube channel, you saw us cheers our water. But the truth is that Clare Solly is our guest today. And the reason I wanted to have her on is because, y'all, she is a master manifester, and she also has led a life journey that is something that I believe we're all on. And she has done it. And like it's, that quote, like you can't connect the dots going forward. You can only connect them going backwards. I think it's the Apple guys thing. Anyways, she is someone, the two of us, like we designed shoes together at one point in our lives. We both worked at the same retail shop. And you'll hear her talk about how we like slingshot each other. Like we are two friends who, will go through like years where we talk every single week and then a year where we don't talk at all. And it's not anything personal. It is just us doing life and helping each other out and like talking about a book we should read or something we should do. And, what I want you to know about Clare is she is a money mindset coach and she's also a book writing coach, but we talked a lot about money mindset in here. And it was really important to me because I really do think that most of you, if you're listening to this, do believe you can be it till you see it. And you are looking for different tips and strategies to make that happen. And just also remind yourself to do it every day. Cause it is like, it's a muscle, right? Like this muscle of being it till you see it, even when like there's no evidence that it's actually working. Trust me, I know I've been there. Like y'all, I was homeless and my car was totaled and the studio I rented supplies from was closing. And there was not a lot of evidence every single day or even for weeks that was showing me that like I was on the right path. And then I got this phone call that I was the best Pilates instructor in Los Angeles by Los Angeles Magazine. So, woo, it's pat on the back. But like, I know how hard it is because of that. Like, it's not the only time where you can be being it till you see it and just be going, am I like, really? Is this even working? Is this BS? And so I wanted to bring her on to talk about money mindset because she has gotten herself in and out of debt 2 times. She has some great tips to talk to you about. And so you are going to want to read her entire bio in the show notes because you're going to be like, what? Who is this woman? But I'll tell you a quick little thing about her. She is a longtime friend of me and she's a total boss babe who has published 2 of her own novels and has more on the way. Claire's a master manifestor who has made many of her own dreams come true. She has dug herself out of debt twice, runs 2 indie theater companies in New York City, and she runs her own company, You Won't Be Solly, where you can learn her tricks and tips to being a master manifestor or even write your own book or both. You also get the money mindset coaching. So anyways, keep reading in the show notes about how amazing she is and take a listen. This is going to be something you want to rewind to listen to how she manifests money in her life and how you can too, so that you can be it till you see it. So now check out this message and then we'll get to the show. Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Okay, everyone. Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast. Okay, I promise you that this is a podcast and it's not just a phone call between 2 friends, but today's guest has been one of my sisters from other mothers and besties since I think we met each other in 2002, 2001, 2002. Right.
No, it had to be before that. 2000 or 2001, I think.
Yeah, it was back when I was in college and I was looking for a job. And I just remember walking into the store and it was like, everything about it was just like so beautiful. And then there was Clare and she was standing at this counter. And I swear, cause she's so tall, I thought she was standing on like, like a counter, like there was like a porch that the counter was around. So when I did get the job and it was just the same floor, I was like, how tall is that girl? Anyways, Clare Solly is our guest today. And Clare, will you tell everyone where you're from and who you are, all the good things?
Happily. My name is Clare Solly. I am zooming in, podcasting in from Queens, New York. For those of you that know New York City, I'm right by LaGuardia Airport. I've been in the New York area, mostly Manhattan, for the last 10 years. It'll be 11 in September. And I am a Jill of all trades, and I'm a coach, a wellness coach, a money management and book coach, and many other things.
Yeah, I mean, we both had many lives together in our time that we've known each other, because we also were shoe designers together.
Yeah.
And I forgot about that until one day someone brought something up and I was like, oh yeah, I used to design shoes. And people were like, you used to design shoes? I'm like, yeah. And we actually sold them for a lot of money.
We did. We sold them for a lot of shoes. You know, it's funny. I was thinking about this like last week, and I was like, "Ooh, where's a piece of paper? I have to write this down," because it just like came across my brain. And you are my slingshot friend. Like, you are my friend that like projects me forward, and then like we meet up, and then like I shoot you forward in something. Like, we always send each other like sound bites and tidbits, and like, hey, you should listen to this, or you should go read this book, or it's okay, chin up, you'll get through this. And it's like, I don't think I would be where I am if you weren't in my life. Like, we continually just help each other propel forward. And it's weird because it's like, how runners, like, this because you are a runner, like when you're in a race, like runners, you don't want to run alone. You want to run a track with other people to help you keep pace. And like, I don't see myself anywhere competing with you, but it's seriously, it feels like you're my slingshot friend. Like, you are just like, keep going forward. And then I'm like, okay, it's your turn. You go forward. So anyway.
I love it. I've not heard that term of slingshot friend, but it's absolutely so true, because, you are the one who put my application at the top to make sure, because I got a phone call before I rode the bus at that time. So I got a phone call before I was even off the bus. And then, we've been doing that for each other since it's like 21 years. Our friendship can drink. Cheers to that. And but here's something that one of the things that I wanted to bring you on for, because besides that you're one of my best friends, I wanted to just chat with you and hear, so people could hear like how we've helped each other out. It's that when you moved to New York, was to me one of the be it till you see it's like I got to watch it happen, because you were out of college, we were living in Orange County, and you would go to New York and you would like pretend to be like, you would go to New York and walk around, and you went there frequently before you moved there. And I always felt like, and maybe I was making it up, but I always felt like you were like basically pretending to live there when you would go there, so that you would have friendships and have connections so that you could move. Am I making that up?
Yeah, no, you're not. It's interesting that you say that too, because just now as you were talking about it, like I always think about like the people that like make it big, and there's always like that very low moment right before they completely go massively like large or whatever. And I don't know, like it was weird because there were all these little things that were like massive at the time. So yeah, and they were all negative things. Like, it was all directing me away from the life that I was living. I was living in Southern California. I had decided I had gotten my degree. I got a double emphasis degree in acting and design. So I could like create, design theater productions, do costumes and whatnot. And I wasn't using it. I went into the corporate world. I was working in a desk job. I liked it, but I wasn't like, I was more like, I was in my early mid-20s. I was in my mid-20s. And I was like, hey, let's do the like picket fence and the husband and the house and the dogs and the kids, and let's head down that path. And, I don't really need theater anymore. And then I was visiting New York. A friend of mine had moved here. She got breast cancer. So I started visiting a couple of times a year for like 2 years. She ended up passing away. I got shingles at 28, like a terrible case of shingles. I was I was like on I was down for my job for about a month, and then I went back to work, and things just sort of didn't work out, and they ended up moving me into a different position, and sort of like they were trying to get me out kind of situation. And finally,
Yeah, the writing's on the wall when that's happening.
yeah, they finally just kind of like let me go and gave me severance, and I was on unemployment for a while, and I was like, what do I do? Like, I'm not getting, I'm not happy in life. Like, what am I doing? Like, I tried, I guess I tried the saving money and having a car and trying to buy a house, and like I was dating like crazy, and like nothing, not like no relationships were sticking. No, like talk about biological clock ticking. Like, it was going crazy at the end of my 20s. And I was seeing friends move to New York and actually just be moving back because they either made it enough or they didn't make it, or they were trying it. And I was like, wait, why am I not doing this? And so I sold or got rid of, donated anything and everything I had. I was living with a friend at the time. I boxed up like a lot of my clothes and shipped them to New York, and traveled on a plane with 2 suitcases. And I remember so distinctly when I got off the plane in New York with my 2 overweight suitcases. My 2 extremely heavy suitcases, and I set them down, and it felt like the weight of the world had lifted, and I was finally home. And the suitcases, like, I went to pick them up again and they felt like nothing. And I moved into my Harlem apartment and pursued theater here for a couple of years. And I did a couple of off-Broadway shows and did a whole bunch of other like regional shows and different indie theater productions and stuff here, did some film work. So it didn't, I'm not famous. I'm not a superstar. But I did get to live that dream. So that was very exciting. And I hope and a prayer. Like, I saved up money for a year and just moved here hoping it would work out.
See, what I loved about you sharing like all the bad things that happened is it was literally like the universe going, how many doors we have to close on this girl to get her to get on a plane. And I think we can easily see these things that are in air quotes bad. This is a bad thing. And actually, it's just that you're just on someone else's path. You're not listening. And it's so true. Like, I think it's really easy, even if you're like a rebel, to somehow still end up going through the white picket fence with the partner, with the 2.5 kids, and think, well, I could still have it all. And it's, no, you even if you didn't make it like on the lights of a Broadway show as the star, it doesn't mean you didn't make your dream happen and in a different capacity. And it puts you on this other path that you're on. And you mentioned something like you saved up for a year, which I mean, it's so hard for me to save up. I was like, we're moving to Vegas. We have 9 days. We're going. We'll make it happen. I just am a little too impatient. But I think a lot of people that where they get stuck is that they're like, okay, LL, all right, Claire, that sounds great. Like, you moved, good for you. Like, you saved up for a year. But it's easy for people. The money is something that really keeps them from doing something, either because it's too expensive to try or they're too in debt to even get to see the forest of the trees. And I know that you have some really awesome experience in money mindset, and I was hoping you would share a little bit of that with us.
I'd love to. It's funny because I have dug myself out of debt twice. And I, again, moved across the country, had no job. Like, I was working few part-time jobs, and I like magically I was here for 8 months before I found a job. So like things just sort of, I don't want to say they magically worked out, because like I remember working hard for things. And there were days where like I was panicked and whatever. But money, the thing that people don't understand about money is just energy. Like a calorie is just energy. So we want to burn calories. We want to eat enough calories. It's just an exchange of energy. So money, for all intents and purposes, like way back in the medieval times, you had a goat and you wanted some corn so you could, feed your family. And some milk and whatever. So you would trade your goat, but the guy who had the corn didn't necessarily need a goat. So you would trade the goat to somebody else for some, I don't know, for a donkey. And then you would trade the donkey and it was just money made it easier for people to exchange things. You could just sell one thing outright, use money to pay for another thing. So,
yeah. And actually, this is really funny, not to interrupt you, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
The thing about money also is it became easier for them to track debt. And that's really was the biggest impetus to making money something you would hold on to and have tangible and have meaning on it, because they needed to track people's debt. Because like you said, you would trade a donkey for a goat, but the guy who wanted the donkey to give it to the barley guy only had a goat. So he owes that donkey guy money.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And we could go on and on about debt and credit scores and all of the shenanigans that stuff is I'll come back and talk about that another day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so money is just energy. So if you hold that, and that's a hard concept for people to understand, it is just a flow of energy. And that's the important word in that sentence, flow. So you have to let things flow. You can't just sit there with your pile of money and go, oh my gosh, this is my pile of money. I hope that it's enough. Did I have enough money to move to New York? I absolutely did not. I just knew that I would eventually figure out how to make more money. You can always make more money. You can always earn more money. You can spend more money. It's totally fine. So you can't just sit there and hold your money in a vacuum. You have to let it go out and it will come in. And something I started doing actually with the going out, the outflow and inflow of money, is everybody gets so excited when they win money or when you get a little bit more money, or you realize, you look at your bank account on your phone and you're like, oh my gosh, there's $100 more in there than I thought. But nobody ever cheers the money going out. And the thing is, when money leaves your hands, when you pay your electric bill, when you pay your cable bill, you're putting other people to work. You're creating an ecosystem. You're helping move things along. When you donate money, when you buy groceries, it is such a bigger picture than just $1. So anytime you put money out into the world, you're creating a flow. So you should be very excited. And so when I write, especially when I write big checks, or when I know that my car payment is coming out of my bank account, I will go look at it and I will get really happy and really excited that money is going away from me. And it never
love this so much.
It never fails. Within 48 hours, a good chunk of money comes back to me that I either didn't remember that was coming in, or just magically decided to flow my way. Magically, I don't know why I should say that. It just decided to flow my way. So because I am a channel for money, which if you're not into flow and things like that and vibrations and whatever, this might sound a little woo woo, but if whatever faith you believe in, whatever you believe in, universe, God, whatever, things show up for you when you need them. And when you prove you need them, or you prove that you're going to use them well, they will show up for you. So
I think, did we both read Big Magic at the same time?
We did, because that was your first podcast. We were originally going to do a book club podcast.
We totally were. And oh my God, somehow we'll have to make that happen. That book has so much staying power. It's 5 years old, but the same thing that comes with ideas and creativity is money, because it is all energy, right? Everything is. And it's really true. If you if you hold on to an idea and you don't tell anyone about it, guess what? You will never make it happen. Ideas want to be born and they have to be talked about. And you can share them because James Altucher said in a podcast like 7 years ago, and it changed my world. He said, 98% of people will never take action on an idea. So you could literally tell everybody your ideas and only 2% of them might actually take action. That doesn't mean they'll do them. And even if they did, because they're not you, it won't be the same thing. Right. So, so the reason I came up was like, I grew up in a household that like the money was gone before it came in because we were in debt. So it was just like always gone. And it was always, no, we can't afford it. No, we can't afford it. And I remember being in college and people inviting me to things and saying, no, I can't afford it. And I got really annoyed when it came out of my mouth because I sounded like my parents. And I was like, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say I can't afford anything anymore. I want to have new phrases. So Claire, for someone who is like, okay, I believe money is energy. I hear you, but I really don't feel like I can't afford things right now. What do they need to say instead so that it doesn't have that, like, I know I can't afford it or I don't have any money? Like, what's a better phrase?
I mean, going back to your upbringing, like a lot of people feel that they're in a famine situation. And it's like, well, no, you're not in a famine situation. Like, you have clean flowing water, you have a roof over your head, you have two hands, or you have a mind, you have abilities to do things, no matter who you are, no matter what background you have. And if you can't afford things, do you really need them? So that's part of it. And for people that are listening that are like bare bones, like, I have no money, like, just take a breath. Ask for what you need. Tell yourself, I started having a mantra about 20 years ago. And I said, I posted on sticky notes on my mirror, on my bedroom, on my bedroom wall, like on the door frame as I would walk out of my room. It was on my mirror in the bathroom. And my mantra was, all the money I want and need will be available. All the money I want and need will be available. And I just said that mantra. Anytime I got afraid, because that's the thing. You were in this famine situation and you were afraid. So, or your family was afraid. So you were, think of like, flow, in whatever vessel, whatever tube, in whatever highway. And it's like being squeezed. It's like your fists are being squeezed. Like nothing's going to flow through that. Right. And like your blood's not going to flow if you tense your muscles, like things like that. So you have to relax and you have to refocus and go, I am okay. I am not afraid. Everything I want will be provided for me. Like whatever I need will be there. You just have, and it sounds completely bonkers. And I laugh because I had a moment one day, like right before I moved to New York, where I was panicked that I would not be able to afford toothpaste. I had a panic attack brushing my teeth because I had half a tube of toothpaste. And I was like, what if this is the last toothpaste I can ever afford? I'm moving across the country. I have $1,000 in my bank account. I don't know what I'm going to do. Literally having a panic attack over toothpaste. And it is hysterical because every time I panic about money now, toothpaste or a toothbrush shows up in my life. Some sort of like, some sort of freebie, or a friend like gives me a tube of toothpaste, or like, it's just the weirdest thing. It's, and if
like a sign saying, hey, Claire, you have money because you have toothpaste.
It's just crazy. And if you just sit back and relax, and you can take my mantra if you want, you can have your own, whatever will help you center and relax, and just know that what you need will come when you need it. Just like the toothpaste for me, you will get it.
I agree. Like, I think, I know you're a master manifester, and I think, I think some people, they have a hard time with the manifesting, because I think that they know what they want, but they are manifesting like it might not happen. I don't think that they realize that they're doing that because they're like, really want this thing. But while they're thinking about it, they're thinking of all the different ways it could go wrong, or all the different ways of why it's not their turn, or it's not their time, or they don't have time, or, you know what I mean? And so, so what are some of your ways of like manifesting? Like, what's your favorite way to I don't know. Is there a way you manifest?
I mean, our crazy monkey brain, our subconscious doesn't hear negative words. It only hears like the tangible word. So if you're like, I don't want to be poor, your subconscious will only hear poor. So turn your phrases to positive. Like, like I have, if you just walk around and you're like, I'm wealthy, like I'm like, and grateful, gratitudes, right? I'm grateful that I have running water. I am grateful that I have electricity. And you can say things like, I'm grateful that I have money in my bank account. I am grateful that I have $10 in my wallet. Like, if you just think about the positive things, and hey, maybe the Jim Carrey thing has never worked for me, where he like wrote himself the check for, what is it, 25 grand or something like that, or $1 million. I can't remember what it is, but
it was like $1 million. I think he wrote it. Didn't he give it to his dad or something? It was like, there was something really touching about it. But anyways,
I mean,
that doesn't work for me. Yeah.
But just turn it positive. Like, I have what I need, or what I need will come for me. And the thing with manifesting too is that our fight or flight response starts to kick in, and we start to problem solve, because we need to solve the immediate, or we need to solve the soon upcoming. Like, I only have two meals in my freezer, so I need to make sure that I get more than $10 in my bank account so I can have food for a couple of days. Well, just tell yourself, well, you have food right now. You're fine. You can make it work. Like, we've all been in a place where we've had a scarcity of something, and we've all made it work. So
yeah, I think that's really, if you can, I don't know if anyone can hear my dogs barking. I'm so sorry. Welcome to working from home. But I think what's really fascinating about, it's really like 100% of the time living in a life where you only think positive is pretty impossible, but it's very much turning that around. And like, the subconscious is really malleable, and that if you do catch yourself saying something really negative, you can say several more things positive and like outweigh that negative thought. So just like, extra talk around that. The other thing is that like, I find that, you said flight or flight, and it made me think of like stress, and our brain also does not want to be stressed out. So if the thing that you're wanting is actually causing you stress because you're afraid you're not going to have it, it's going to run away from that.
Yeah, it's totally. Absolutely it is. And I mean, I also do an exercise where I meditate and I think of expansion. So, and this is something, if you're not good at meditating, you don't have to like sit down and get in a contemplative state. You can do it at like, as you're falling asleep, or like, if you're like in the zone, on like your workout or some sort of situation, like brushing your teeth, you can even do it then, like, or in the shower. We all have those moments where we're just kind of like zen, and our wheels in our brain are kind of going. And if you think about your bank account or your credit card or whatever, think of it as some sort of vessel. So some sort of space. So for me, mine is sort of like, it's sort of like a big warehouse. Like, I think of like those vast warehouses, or like a huge office building that's like completely empty and just waiting for someone to come in. And you can think of like your money, or how much money you have on your credit card, as like a pile in the corner, right? So that's what you've got. And if you think about how much space you have, and just tell yourself, I have so much space for money, I have so much space for wealth to come in for me. And you can actually sit there and mentally move the walls back and build yourself more space. And you can have, like, it can be a field with a fence around it, or You can have a big outdoor space. You can have a mountain with some sort of invisible force field, or a valley or something, whatever it is for you. And it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. And this just came to me a couple of months ago, but I don't do this every day. I will add it into my meditation, or I'll add it into my thinking, as I'm falling asleep. If the negative thoughts are coming in, and I'm listening to my beach waves, or my if I'm not listening to a lead meditation, I just think about expanding my money vessels, because credit cards and bank accounts are pretty much the same thing. A lot of people get so afraid of, oh my gosh, I have so much debt, I have so much racked up on my credit card. But honestly, it's just more space. It's just creating more space for you to create things. And it's the more space you have, the more room for money there is.
Yeah, no, you're 100%. I think a lot of people are raised like credit card debt is bad and all this is bad. Well, let me just tell you, if you don't use them, you also don't have a credit score. So then you can't even buy a house. So like there's this game you have to play. And if you think of it as a game and you have fun with it, and you see those credit cards as a way to continue to build something with a positive, and that's very intentional spending, it's very different than like, oh, I just really want to have this shirt that I don't need. Like it's different than that. Like if you're using this to like make your magic happen, or put it towards something that's like the thing that you're really wanting to do. And you have, as Claire mentioned earlier, this like positive energy towards that bill, right? Like I make sure when Brad and I pay our taxes, I'm like, there is nothing stressful about taxes. Taxes are amazing. We get to pay them. How much money do we owe? Tell me how big it is. Like, I don't know, and it's not like I'm excited. It's just that I want to stay excited about all the things. And I think it's really, I think it's a mindset shift that a lot of people have to make, because they're like, oh, I'm in credit card debt and that's bad. It's like, well, if you bought a bunch of like H&M clothes that are in one season and out the next, and maybe that wasn't the best use of your credit and your money. But if you're using things to get an education, or get the computer you need to like start working on your project, or take the course on how to paper mache puppets or something. I don't know what you want to do. Like, it's not bad. If it's something that you're using to even be your meditative movement meditation, like that also can be good. Like, it's just the energy you put towards it. Right. I know that you and I have definitely, as we mentioned at the beginning, have had many lives. We're shoe designers, you did acting, you're a money mindset coach. One of the things, and we don't have to go too much into it, but I think it's important, is you do write books, and there is to me, a self-discipline to writing a book. And I'm not saying that like you're the most perfect self-disciplined person at writing books, but I just thought, so many people have a story that they want to share, but they feel like they can't write, or they don't have the time to write, or they don't even know where to start. And I just wondered if you could like tap into that a little bit, because I find that like written word about your life or what you've done also is another way to see yourself in something. So I don't know if we can talk a little bit about writing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, writing my first novel was probably one of the most vulnerable things I've ever done in my life. And I've done a lot. Like, I am one person that will definitely like do so many vulnerable things, like be naked boldly in front of people, literally and figuratively. And my first novel, I started writing in 2012. I was seeing a guy, and it didn't turn out well. And I was doing the artist's way. If you haven't done it, look it up. It's a fun process. It gets you back on track. I've done it twice. I
love my morning pages. I love them.
I love my morning pages. Yeah. And that's a great way to start too. If you have an idea, and you want to start just getting things down, Artist Way says write 3 pages a day. Just start writing a page a day. Just commit to a page, because anybody can write a page while you're, waking up. I do mine half asleep anyway. Like I make my coffee and I start writing pages. And that's a great jumpstart. So yeah, my first novel was it came out of writing these morning pages because I got so tired of saying, "Oh, I'm so tired of," or I'm so heartbroken and so whatever over this guy, and he wasn't worth it. And
They never are. They
and
never are.
never. And I started writing letters to myself, or no, sorry, I started writing letters to him because I got tired of just complaining. So I was like, well, okay, this is an actionable thing. I'm going to write letters to you. And my first novel is a fiction sort of romancy novel, time travel. And I wasn't satisfied with just the writing the letters. So I started writing answers to myself back. And so some of those letters are actually the very end of my first novel. And I started because we're, a subway culture in New York City. I was riding the subway at least an hour a day, and I would get out my notebook and I'd just write on the subway, like for an hour, handwrite. And I filled up 2 notebooks, and I thought, this is interesting. This is just a story that was coming out of me. Had no intention of publishing it or sharing it with anybody. I started telling people, it's so funny because I think that I wasn't wanting to share it with people, but I was telling everybody that I was writing a book because people started asking me about it. So that's another step you can do. You can just start talking about it with people. If you start telling people that you're writing a book, even if you just have an inkling of an idea or a page, they will help keep you honest. They will, what did I say?
Yeah.
Slingshot. They will help slingshot you towards your goal.
Yeah.
And so I just kept writing. I typed it out. I spent a weekend and I typed out all my journals and then finished writing it. It took me about 2.5 years to write. And then I put it in a drawer and sat on it for a good 1.5 years and didn't know what to do because you were the only person I actually knew who had published a book. And I didn't, we weren't really we weren't talking a whole lot right then. And
I think that was probably around when I was it was just post me being homeless.
Yeah.
And so I was a little that's just it. That's why we're slingshotters. Cause it's okay, you slingshot me. And then I did the thing. And then you wanted to publish your book. And I was like, oh, this is how I did it. It's not hard. You actually went through a different service and it's better than mine.
Yeah. Well, and we were actually we were across the country and we had sort of fallen, we hadn't fallen off as friends, but we just sort of lost track of each other. It was just sort of whatever. So I didn't know. And by random circumstance, right? Which I feel is random, but looking back, it's what I needed in the moment. And I probably manifested it. I ran into a random stranger at an industry party. I was working in the wedding industry at that point. And this guy was a friend of the host who had nothing to do with the industry, had stopped by for 30 minutes of this party. And I caught him right before he was leaving. He was standing nearby the women's restroom and at a table. And I asked him if he would watch my wine because I didn't want to take my glass of wine in the bathroom. And he was like, sure, I'm going to be here for 3 minutes. If you're back before then, I'll watch it. And so I went to the restroom, came back, and I thanked him and started talking to him. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm a novelist. And I was like, tell me more. And turns out he was a 4-time, almost 5-time self-published novelist at the time. That one of the biggest tips he gave me, he's like, just publish it. He's like, just get it out there because you can go back and you can change anything in the guts of it. Or you can change anything. You can revise it. You can go back. It does not have to be perfect, which blew my mind at the time because I thought, oh, wait, it has to go through an agent and it has to be perfect. And it has to no, it doesn't. No. Write your book.
I love that you brought that up because we are currently, at the time that I'm talking to you, I just finished editing the book that I put out in 2013 because, some things have changed. You don't need a web page anymore. You actually just need a website. And Twitter is not necessarily the way to talk to clients because Instagram is around, right? So there's some things that needed to be updated as far as the world we live in today. And then a couple other things. And it's true. It's my book. and I get to edit it, and it's going to go back out there. And it is just about getting it done, because the first one is always like the most, we like make it the most precious. We make it like has to be this perfect thing. And since you published this book, first of all, many people have bought it. It's done really well. And you've published another one.
Yeah. Yeah. And my second one, the second novel,
Faster.
I came home. I was in between jobs, and I sat down and I was like, I am going to write this book in a month and a half. And I sat down, I gave myself a page goal every day. I wasn't going crazy. I outlined it. I gave myself an A to Z outline. I didn't follow it exactly, but I wrote for like 3 hours a day and followed this outline. And in 6 weeks, I had a novel. And and like all the tools you need are out there. Like you can find an editor, you can find, and they don't have to find an expensive one. Yay, if you do. I don't suggest having your friends be your editors. They're great as like a first read.
No,
but
definitely let someone do that. And I'm like, that's the wrong waste.
Yeah. Because like, even though I love my friends, I will like, they'll say, yeah, let me edit for you. And then they disappear with the book for like a year.
Right.
Wait, I had a deadline.
Yeah. No, it is true. Like you do need outside people. But it is, I think my favorite part of that whole thing is that, you met this person randomly, but not randomly. It was, what are the odds? And also, of course, and it's like, just get it done, because then you can do this next one and you did it faster, and you had deadlines. And there's so much I love about that, because even if you don't meet a deadline that you gave to yourself, just the act of working towards it really helps get you so much clarity around what it is that you're doing. Okay. So Claire, first, where can everyone follow you, find you? Obviously, if they like wanting some money mindset coaching or some book coaching, where should they go?
You can find me on my website. It's youwon'tbesolly.com. So it's all together, no apostrophe and won't. And my last name is Solly. I'm sure you've got, you'll put it in the notes or something, but youwon'tbesolly.com.
I love your URL. It's so much fun. Okay. So this is all really fun. People got some really great like inspiration towards manifesting, towards also seeing that you can do multiple things in your lifetime, and it's awesome and positive. But what is something or a couple things that people can do today, this week, to actually be it till they see it? Anything that's bold or executable or intrinsic or targeted?
I mean, I think you can do it in small steps. Like you can go big. You can go, yes, I'm going to move across the country. But in reality, it took me 2 years to like gear up to get there. Right. You can publish a book. It's going to take time. I think part of it is be realistic, but don't doubt yourself. So go, okay, yeah, I want to write a book. How much time do I have to do it? Can I get up 30 minutes earlier in my day, or can I give myself extend my bedtime by 30 minutes, shut myself in a room, even if it's your bathroom, and just write, like just commit to writing. And when it comes to money, don't be afraid of it. Just know that it flows in and out. And if you have a good isn't right. If you feel solid in what you need the money for, if you have a course you want to take, or a course you want to teach, or something you want to do to your house, or something, like if you are solid in what that is, that money will show up for you too. If you are solid in your energy, the other energy will show up. And I think that's generally in anything, either in the book writing or in the money manifestation worlds that I talk about. If you show up, stuff will show up for you.
That is beautiful. That is it. If you show up, stuff will show up for you. Mic drop, amazing moment. My dear friend Claire, thank you so much for hanging out with me this afternoon. Thank you everyone who's listening. Please do us a big, huge favor and screenshot this podcast. Tag Claire. Her Instagram handle will be in the show notes. It is You Won't Be Solly on Instagram. Yes. Great. She's nodding yes. Okay. So, and I'm the Beit Pod. So Beit Pod. So tag us both with your takeaways so that Claire can see like what about this podcast really resonated with you. We can literally show up for you and high five you in the DMs. It's so important. And it helps us get this message out to everyone who needs to be it till you see it. Until next time, see everyone. That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Kroll.
Kevin and Belle at Disenyo handle all of our audio editing and some social media content.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jaira Mondal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Pedroso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Meredith Kroll for keeping us all on point and on time.